Welcome to Things Invest, talk about investing, finance, and professional development. For today's earnings only, the investment top today would be Ethereum and Bitcoin, respectively. With respect to the overall crypto market today, we are trending more of a neutral level, right? With respect to Bitcoin, up about 0.03%, and Ethereum is currently down about 0.2% so far. It seems like we're just kind of hovering on a sideways fashion, not doing specifically much. On a media front, before I go through the technical analysis, just to talk about some of the news I've been collecting so far, right? With respect to Decrypt 41 minutes ago, talk about Kraken from a DeFi firm donates 1.5 million to Ethereum 2.0 development. As you know from the London fork debut that happened about 2 weeks ago, it's still something that we need to further cultivate as a value proposition for long term. There's still a lot of areas of improvement with respect to the technological side and the infrastructure side of the house, right? So that's another great thing that someone's willing to invest their personal assets or personal capital gains into obviously Ethereum 2.0 developments. Another one talking about related to Ethereum would be an art buyer turning $1,400 into $3.3 million in Ethereum with a specific artistic JPEG, right? With this NFT type of commercialization and adoption globally, it seems like there's a lot of people making a fortune in the artistic community stem from the value proposition of NFT from obviously Ethereum, right? And then another one talking about with respect to, just a regurgitation per the news that we talked about yesterday, Visa buying a CryptoPunk NFT for $150,000. With respect to the amount, it's not, enormous for, Visa's market capitalization, but it is a stamp of approval from Visa, the fact that they are trying to get some skin in the game. As we are foreshadowing some sort of a crypto economy evolutions going forward, right? Which is great. And then another one talking about more on the Bitcoin side of the house. With respect to CFTC commissioner clarifies the agency's role in regards to regulating Bitcoin. So this is something that we are still, try to massage a little bit more with respect to the bills that we've been cultivating among from the Fed and from the SEC, as we heard from Don Byers on his crypto bills. That's 57 pages that needs to go through revisions with respect to the infrastructure builds that was needed to be adjusted for the crypto side of the house. And now it seems like they are trying to clarify a little bit more with respect to some of the verbiage in some of the bills that they have initialized earlier, right? And with respect to the other one, 2 hours ago, the President Bukele, I hope I'm not pronouncing his name incorrectly, he guarantees zero emissions and he shows confidence in the law and the revisions of the law or the bills that we've been cultivating specifically towards Bitcoin so far. So another stamp of approval for a long-term value proposition for Bitcoin. And then talks about with respect to Riot blockchain reports 150, not 150, 1,540% increase in quarterly revenue from Bitcoin mining. Obviously, with the global adoptions and the popularization that we've been hearing recently, that makes sense. But the number is definitely astounding. So that's definitely another great, news, if you may. But just more of a foreshadow news that if you have been following the market, we know how exponential has been growing already. And another one related to Bitcoin, talking about someone just paid 1.3 million for a picture of a rock in a form of JPEG again. It seems like the NFT artistic community is definitely cultivating. It's becoming very popular. So quite interesting. People would be buying a picture of a rock for $1.3 million when you could be using that for something else. So that's interesting. So let's go back to the technical analysis with respect to the current level right now for Ethereum. We're trading on a sideways fashion right now, and it seems like we are just hovering. We try to test the $3,360 today to break above to the $3,385, but we couldn't, and we subsequently bounced back down to today's low of 3,299, basically 3,300. So we've been just struggling on a sideways fashion, right? And with respect to Bitcoin, I would say comparable, but it's less severe, which makes sense, right? In terms of how dragged up it's been, right? But overall, I would say on both Bitcoin and Ethereum, we're both relatively overbought, right? And I think we might be forming some sort of a wedge for Bitcoin, respectively, right now. But this is something we still need to verify a little bit more as we durate a little bit longer. We are in the business of risk mitigation, so we're never surprised when that happens, right? Would I be advising buying now? I think right now for respectively Ethereum, I would say no. I would say if you want to swing trade, buy the 3,000 and just swing trade from 3,000, sell at the 3,225 or 3,150, depending on risk tolerance or your profits gains that you would like to ideally have. Ideally, I would be buying at 2,750, 2,450. And for Bitcoin, respectively, we did break above the 4,400, $44,000, different digits, respectively, because we did break above that. We've been able to sustain that. So this 4,000, this 44,000 is comparable like to the 3,000 that Ethereum is currently sustaining. But if we break that, the next level is going to be relatively sharp, right? Comparable to the Ethereum level to 2,750, and Bitcoin will be going to the $40,000 mark, right? Which is a relatively substantive level, right? However, for me, I would be more risk averse by buying at the 37 or the 34 in the mid, right? I think these are levels that are more substantive based on the technicals, and especially on below here, right? Do we see like way lower? I think that's unlikely, right? To get us all the way to the next level of 24, that's a really sharp level for us to drop to, right? But whatever goes up really, really fast comes down just as fast. But luckily for Bitcoin, the cycle doesn't seem to be as dragged up in comparisons to the way we were experiencing before. We have a lot more substantive consolidation zone that would form prior. So that is a good thing. That means we're not going to go all the way back down. It's comparable to Ethereum again. We're not going to go all the way back down because we've formed these consolidation zones. So we have a lot more substantive platforms in an architectural perspective, but obviously in the financial asset perspective as well, right? So let's take a look at this again, right? It seems like for Ethereum, it's more prominent in terms of like where we are trending right now. It seems like we are around the bull trap area, returning back to normal, but we're still kind of hovering on a sideways fashion. So we need to verify the wedge. It seems like we could be potentially forming a wedge, but I think the Bitcoin wedge is a little bit more prominent. And I'm specifically talking about the upward wedge, right? Which, if you take a look, it looks very similar, like a upward triangle, right? And we've been leaning that way because of the bullishness that we've been getting so far. So something to be mindful of. And in terms of like the price target, again, right? I've been mentioning for Ethereum, $3,000 would be the first level you want to swing trade at. But ideally in the yellow zone, right? The 2,750, 2,450. But long-term wise, if you buy now, 9,800, 3.3 times your money. And respect to Bitcoin, again, right, the yellow zones that we've identified in the chart, right? For me, I'm more comfortable with the 37,500, 34, and 31. 31 is a relatively steep drop. It will break through like basically 4 or 5 resistance levels. But if you buy in the current level at the 50K, if you believe in this very long term, and I do believe in long term, but you just have to understand that the cycle needs to go through itself. Would be if you buy for 12 months from now, like next year, by July or June, we should be above like 100K, right? And that's 3.7 times your money from here. So technically, that's not a bad price point for you to buy it right now. If you could like almost double your money from here, right? So hopefully this is helpful. So hopefully you like the encapsulations of both Bitcoin and Ethereum technical analysis. And feel free to give me any questions if you have any specific questions that you would like me to specifically talk about. Especially we should experiencing some volatile times ahead of us, like with Jackson Hole's speech that's happening on Thursday all the way to Saturday. So that's something we have to be mindful of, and these are the levels that you want to be dollar cost averaging or risk mitigating going forward.